Welcome into your PFF prospect profile. Today it's all about Florida's Taven Bryan, interior defensive lineman, in a class, Mike, where Maurice Hurst, he's our top guy, the best disruptor in this entire class, but there's not a lot of guys like Taven Bryan who have that, quickness to be able to win and disrupt on the interior. What are your thoughts on Bryan, and is the interior his best fit at the next level?
Yeah, there's just this interior defensive line class just doesn't have a lot of pass rushing talent up to this point. There's not a lot of freak athletes. There's not a lot of guys who have flashed on tape pass rushing toolbox that you think is going to translate quickly to the NFL. Bryan, though, is one of the guys who has that freak athleticism, has shown some pass rushing moves that you think could translate right away. And the thing is, he's gotten better every single year, has shown more and more every single year to where you think if he just keeps going on that sort of trajectory, he could at one day, be a plus pass rusher in the NFL, and that's what you want on the interior. You don't need the run stuffers in the first round. Those aren't the guys going in the first round. It's guys like Taven Bryan, who you watch his performance at the combine. It was far and away the best of any of the interior defensive linemen there. 35-inch vertical, great three-cone, and it shows up on tape. The first guy off the snap every single time they're on that Florida defensive line, and then he can turn the corner on guards very well. So he's not all the way there yet. He's not a perfect prospect by any means, but there's enough there that I'd get excited about him at the if I'm taking him at the end of the first round.
Yeah, so an intriguing talent. I mean, I've watched his career pretty closely. He was a former 3-star recruit at Florida. He's from Wyoming, and every time he got out there in 2015 and 16, it was a rotational role, and he'd make a few plays against the run. Only played 200 to 300 snaps each of those years. And I'm looking right at the draft guide. You said he got better every single year. Draft guide as part of Edge and Elite. 68.7 in 2015, 77.9, so he's getting better and better. 89.1 overall grade last year, just a disruptor in the run game and as a pass rusher. So he truly has gotten better every year, and he went from this guy who was just kind of like country strong, move some people around, to having that crazy athleticism and burst, and he took over some games. You watch that Texas A&M game, he was by far the best player on the field. So maybe there's only a limited sample of him playing at that high level, but love what you mentioned, all the combine results. Now the production's added up. Number 10 in the draft class in pass rush productivity. There's a lot adding up that maybe this guy's going to be a better pro than what we even saw in college.
Yeah, and I even think he was almost out of position there at times on the Florida defensive line playing 3 technique. He would jump the snap sometimes, and a guard would just out-leverage him because he is 6'5" and a little undersized at 290 to be playing on the interior, and he would just get dumped right off the snap. And it would look ugly, and he flashes, both sides of the coin where it was ugly rep, fantastic rep, fantastic rep. I think his best position in the NFL might just be a base defensive end who can play the run against offensive tackles where he's not going to have that sort of natural leverage disadvantage where guys are going to get lower than him. He's going to be fighting similar-sized guys at offensive tackle where his speed and quickness can win better, and then kick inside on third downs where then he's pass rushing from the interior where he does have that sort of this burst and get off is better and more suited to get after the quarterback right away.
We're seeing a lot of people around the NFL doing that, whether it's Michael Bennett. He's been the classic guy that's done that base defensive end, take on guards in the pass game in nickel situations. Solomon Thomas with the 49ers, that's probably going to be his best role. Even former Florida Gator Jonathan Bullard, I thought that was probably his best bet for success at the next level as well. So Bryan adds a little bit of flexibility there. What happens if he does have to play on the interior, on early downs? Is he a guy that maybe he's just not going to be the best guy on the roster for early downs, and he's going to have to be a pass rush specialist, or does he have to play that base defensive end role?
Yeah, that's what I'd worry about, is just even getting him on the field on early downs, because he's just going to be a liability, I think, early in his career. He just doesn't know exactly how to take on blocks. He's not developed yet in that regard. Double teams are going to be an issue with him. At that point, a lot of coaches just say, we're not even going to let you see the field when it's first, second down, because the ball's going to roll through your gap. So I'd worry about that, but I think if you put him outside a little bit, he'd be fine. So I think if someone's willing to use him creatively in that sort of role, that'd be perfect for him.
You highlighted his strengths and weaknesses very well in your report in the PFF Draft Guide. Power in his strike is nothing special. That backs up what you're saying. That's Taven Bryan, interior defensive lineman for Florida, one of the most disruptive interior linemen in this draft class.